welcome to another video. Today I'm going to paint this 10-inch mandala circle and I'm just going to use white. I have already divided this up into 16 segments and the rings are 5 centimeters apart, starting 1 centimeter from the center point. Okay, so let's start colors. So the background is painted in Decoart Americana Morning Mist. And then we're going to use Decoart Americana White or any other white that you have. White Pearl, I have that. And I have 2 Nuvo drops here. I have Simply White and I have Ivory Seashell. I also have nail dotting tools. I actually have 2 sets here, a straight set and a bent set. Just, I don't know, I thought let's kind of change it up today. And for brushes, I'm going to use these, which are 3 different sizes. They come in a pack of 6. I have a 10, a 00, and 000, and they will be linked below. If you don't have Nuvo drops, you can just use the white, regular white and the pearl if you want to. If you want to have more detailed instructions, go follow me over on Patreon, because there the video will be not as edited as it will be here. So yeah, I'm going to start with Simply White from Nuvo, and I think I want a big center dot, so I'm just going to fill up the space that I have here. Next, I'm going to go to White Pearl from Decoart, and I think I'm going to go to a 1mm, if I know which one that is, that one. I'm going to make a ring of dots around the big poofy center dot. So that is the first ring done. Do I want a second ring? I actually think I do. So I'm just going to go one size up to a 1.5, still with pearl. Actually going to start a new ring or a new row, because the last one was a little bit wonky in size. Okay, next I'm going to go to Decoart Americana White. And I have mine already set up in a separate container. I'm going to go to... this one is a little bit more runny than the previous paint. So we're going to go to 1.5 and make the next ring of dots. I'm staying in a 1.5. I'm just grabbing a little bit more paint on my tool. And spacing looks decent, so I'm just going to go in between. Think I want one more row. And now I'm going to go up in size to the 2mm, which is my white. And I'm just going to do another new row again. And also, the more paint that you gather on your tool, the bigger your dots will be. And that may seem logical, but when you're kind of doing this, you know, rows of dots, you just have to wipe off your tool sometimes, because as you can see, I'm constantly dipping in my tool, which means that more paint will gather on it, which means that my dots will gradually get bigger if I don't pay attention. Let's see, I want to incorporate some mirrors in this one as well. It has been a while, and my mirrors are I'm going then to use the diamond shaped mirrors. Can I fit that? Yes. So mine are 2 centimeters in length and 1 centimeter in width. And I get these smaller ones on AliExpress. I will link them down below. Usually most artists use one side bigger, which is 1 inch in length and half an inch in width. But as you can see, I have these. Now, if you don't have these, you can just measure it off. So where I'm going to place it, it just very well fits, just fits so well. So what I used to do before I had mirrors, I would kind of figure out where the widest part would be. I would measure that out, and then I also had the length, so I could kind of draw it on. And then fill it in with paint if you want to, or just, I don't know, you could also leave it blank. And then just put maybe a tiny swoosh in the center. That would be cool. That would be cool too. Huh. Anyhoosies, I'm going to measure them out. Oh. So it begins right against the guide mark here. The widest part is 2 guide marks down, and 2 guide marks down below that is where it ends. And we're going to do that every other guide mark. I'm going to go to the Nuvo Ivory Seashell. We're going to make a dot with the Nuvo between the tip of the mirror and the guide mark. And I'll walk the dots with pearl. Then I'm grabbing the regular pearl and I'm going to go to, should we go to a 1 millimeter? No, let's go to 1.5. And I'll walk the dots with regular pearl. Then I'm going to go to a brush stroke. I'm going to go to the brush marked 00 and the white. We're going to do brush strokes. I don't know what it is with the first brush stroke, but it's like the first pancake. Let me make one first, and then I can kind of measure out how it will be with a compass. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is what it looks like. So let me measure it out with a compass. So what I do is I kind of go on one of the vertical guidelines, and then I make sure that my pencil point is on the guide mark that I want to use. And then I kind of measure it from side to side. So now I have the measurement. So when I pull it flat like this and I trace, can I? Trace the circle that I just made, it's the same. And the distance now for the compass for me is a little over 1 inch, or maybe, I think, what is it, 1.1, or is it 1. 0.05. I do not know. I am very sorry. It's not the measurement that I use. But for centimeters, it is 2.7. Around 2.7 centimeters. And I want to make sure that it ends on this guide mark here between the two petals. If you do not have space enough for that, you can make these half moons smaller so that you have more space here in between, and kind of just play around with that. What you could also do is wait for it to dry, kind of draw on the guide marks, and then with the base paint make sure that, you know, if you covered basically the base paint, I did that. Where did I do that? I just did, oh, here. So I kind of narrowed down the petal a little bit. I hope that makes sense. So let's just make the half moons, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guide marks high. So I'm going to line up this point and this point. But I can kind of see it will overlap here a little bit and have a little bit more of a gap there. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move it a little bit, just a millimeter or so that it lines up nicely. And then here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, 6 guide marks again. Oh, I see that I have extended this one too long, so just take a cotton bud, a little bit wet, and then remove that. You can also make these shorter if you want to. Let's see how small I can make the dots. Do I have a practice thingy? I can just do it on the paper. Let's see how small I can make them. Okay, I think I can do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make dots, and you won't see it because my hand is in front. So I'm squeezing this tube very lightly, then let the paint touch the surface and then pull it straight up. You need to have a little bit of space in between these because they will flow out a little bit. I'm just going to follow this line. I'm staying to the inside of the mark that I just made. And if you don't have Nuvo drops, you can, because this is the Ivory Seashell, if you don't have these, just use a regular pearl. And I don't know, maybe a 1.5 millimeter. You can go bigger. If you want to, you can go smaller. You can make them really, really delicate. Or you can make them big and bold. Just, you know, whatever you want to do. And that is one of the things that I love with this. So I am actually subscribed to Thoughtful Dots on both on YouTube and on Patreon, and she's an amazing teacher. So when I follow her design, sometimes she is painting bigger pieces than what I currently have here. So I just kind of then change up the design a little bit. That's just so fun to do. But I also really love to just very much follow along. Oh, I can go even smaller. Oh, really? I like this. What was I saying again? Oh yeah, so sometimes I also love it just to very much follow along with someone else, but the trick then is to make sure that the piece that they are working on is the same size that you have. It just makes it easier. So if, for instance, we are working on a 10-inch piece here, if you have a 9-inch piece, maybe make this pattern a little bit shorter, just one guide mark shorter, you know, so that you kind of compress the space a little bit. And it's actually, if you want to do that, it's actually easier to look for designs that have, for instance, a multitude of rings going, because that is very easy to shrink down. You can just do one ring. You can just, if they're using quite a large tool to make that ring, you can use a smaller tool so that you create just more space. And that is basically how I play with that. So this is it right now. What am I going to do? Do I want to incorporate more mirrors? I think it's maybe a little bit too small. Let me figure it out. I'll be right back. Okay, so I think it will work what I have in mind. So I'm just going to use the same mirrors that I have here. So again, they're 2 centimeters in length and 1 centimeter in width. And I'll be able to fit a few brush strokes next to it. So that's good. I'm lining the mirror up. So the tip of the mirror will be on this guide mark here. And then it just lines up with the bottom of this row. Can we just, why is it so, it's finicky. It's a Saturday, so it's a little bit finicky today. So from the set of 3 brushes, I'm going to go to the longest, which is almost as long as a rigger one, but it's a little bit more narrow. I'm going to go to the white. If I can get it open, that would be nice. And I'm going to frame the petal, but I'm going to start on the bottom. So let me do one first so you can see. So I'm starting on this guide mark, just above this guide mark here. And I want to leave a little bit of space here, so not that they don't touch. Let me show you. I'm actually not using the full brush. Okay, next brush stroke. It's going to be shorter. And this one is going to be shorter as well. I think that will be the last brush stroke. So I wanted to curve a little bit more and touch on this guide mark here. I am grabbing a 6.5 millimeter dotting rod and the white. And I'm going to make a dot here. Maybe a 6 is even better. It needs to not come over this line that we have here. Then I'm going to go to the Nuvo Drop Ivory Seashell. I'm going to make a dot and grab my 0.8 millimeter and drag it in, but I'm stopping. I'm not dragging it in into the middle. I'm stopping before that. And if you don't have this, you can do this with pearl. And just really load up the dot that you are dragging. Then I'm going to go to Simply White. I'm going to make a small dot in between those swoosh tails. Like that. And then maybe even with a needle or something very small, I'm going to pull it in. Between those 2 petals. I'm going to go to regular pearl first and a micro dotting tool of 0.8 millimeter. Maybe easier to do this if this part is dry, but I'm finding out that I should have actually done it before I did this, but that's okay. I'm going to make micro dots between the last two rows in the center because they're quite gappy for me. I want to incorporate a little bit more pearl. So I'm going to go back to Morning Mist and I'm going to place dots on top of this row. Am I going to go to a 4? Yes, I think I am. And let's go to the white. I'm going to do a ring of dots. Then I'm going to go to pearl and the micro dotting tool, and I'm going to make micro dots in between these two dots. Okie dokie, we're going to do more mirrors. These are going to be placed quite low. So I'm going to place it 2 guide marks below the ring. Every other guide mark, so below that bigger dot that I made there. Again, brush strokes. I'm going to go to the white. With the longest brush. And I'm going to frame the petal again, or what we just made. I'm going to use half in the brush because I kind of want these to be a little bit more narrow. And yes, I could grab a smaller brush, but I quite like to work with brushes that are slightly longer for what you want. I don't know, it just makes it easier. The next set is going to be longer, so let me show you one first. Like that, so almost to the edge of the board. The next brush stroke is going to be shorter and also a little bit more out. Then even shorter. I'm going to start kind of curving it back a little bit. So I don't want this brush stroke to go like that. I want the brush stroke to make more of a curve. And we're basically going to repeat that. So this brush stroke kind of started here on this guide mark, and the next brush stroke is kind of going to start a guide mark above that and curve back. Same with the next brush stroke, one guide mark shorter, a little bit more further out, and it's going to curve back to that point again. And I think this is going to be the last one. Again, one guide mark higher, and it's almost going to touch this guide mark that runs through here. I do want to put a dot there, so I'm going to go to the Nuvo Ivory Seashell. And I'm not going to put a dot on top of this, because it could be that the mirror kind of touches that spot. So I'm going to go a little bit higher, so that I'm sure that the mirror won't have a problem. So basically in this little triangle, I'm making that dot. Still Ivory Seashell. But I'm going to make the dot in between those two petals, kind of on top of this guide mark that I have here, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah, a little bit higher, okay. And then I'm going to pull it down, but I'm going to stop there. Like that. Then I'm making two dots next to it. And drag those down too. But I am cleaning my tool off every time I drag it, so that the tail will stay nice and sharp. Again, same two dots. And then the last two. And then here we're going to do another ring. I'm going to go to the 4 and again the white. And what you can do is kind of start in the middle and then put one dot next. Basically work from the center that you make and just see how many dots you can fit until you have the pattern, the petal pattern. Then we're going to go to Pearl for some micro dots. I'm going to go to Ivory Seashell, and I'm going to make a small dot between these two petals in that opening space that I have there. I'm grabbing that needle tool or just a very small stylus tool. I'm going to pull a little bit up and a little bit down. Okay, everything is dry. I've already cleaned it off with, or cleaned the guide marks off with a baby wipe, and we're going to finesse. I'm going to grab the Nuvo in Ivory Seashell, and I'm going to make a dot in between these two petals. Like that. And then I'm going to pull it in towards the center. Between the two petals. If you don't have the space there, you can do nothing, do a dot, whatever you want. I'm going to go to the white, simply white, and I'm going to make a bigger dot here. Okay, let's remove the cat hair. And I also want to do top swooshes on here with the white, but you have to make sure that the swooshes underneath are completely dry. So I'm just making a dot, and then I'm going to pull this on top like that. I also want to create a little bit more definition here. So I'm going to go to Pearl and the brush. I think I'll go to my 0 brush, just because I like that. It doesn't matter that it's a very long bristle, but it's quite a narrow bristle, this. And if you just use basically the tip of the brush, you'll be fine. So I'm going to do a top brush stroke on the center. Like that. So I'm using the tip of the brush and just create a top brush stroke that does not cover the entire brush stroke that is underneath. So let's grab Ivory Seashell or Pearl and top dot these. I quite like that. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to do another top brush stroke on these, the last petals that I have, and I'm going to grab, I think I'm going to grab this one. So not the inner one, but the second one. Same brush as I used before. And I think I'm also going to do this one. I'm grabbing the white Nuvo and I'm going to make a dot in between these petals to fill up this space just a little. I actually quite like this portion, so I'm also going to do that here. I'm just going to dot on all the swooshes. You can also just leave them as dots, that would also be cool. And then just drag them. And they're top swooshes, so they're not meant to cover the entire swoosh that's underneath. Okay, then we have the outer ring left. I think I'm going to grab the Ivory Seashell again and do the same thing as I did there. So just top dots with the Ivory Seashell or with Pearl. Okay. Now, technically now I would let it dry and varnish it. However, we are having kind of, it's kind of snowy here, so I have to varnish outside. So I'm not going to varnish this piece. It's just for here anyway, because the way that it is warped, yeah, I'll probably just glue it on my wall. So what I'm actually going to show you is how I glue on the mirrors. So here I have a box full of mirrors. And we're going to use these. So let me get my glue, if I can find it. Where's my glue? Okay. I just have an, I don't know, a contact adhesive. That's what I have. So I'm just going to glue, put a little dot of glue in the center of the diamond. This is kind of a stringy glue, so I'll just kind of pull. Not that much glue. Oh dear. It's a small piece, so I can just glue everything already. This needs to set a little bit before you glue the mirrors on. Not too much, just a little. It's very stringy today. So let's start gluing on the mirrors, you just grab a mirror, kind of let it fall in place, and then press it down. And then here it is, all finished. Well, with the exception of the varnish, but I explained that. So then basically the only thing that's left to do is just let it dry, clean off the mirrors, and then you have a very, very cool piece that you can, I don't know, stick on your wall. If you put a magnet behind it, you can put it on your fridge if you want to. But I think this looks very, very cool. With all the raised texture. I like it. So let me know how you feel about the final piece. Let me know down below. If you want to order a custom piece from me, you can just hit me up on Instagram, send me a DM, and we can make that happen. Then this was it for today. Thank you so, so much for watching. Also, let me know if you're going to recreate it. And if you do, and you post pictures on Instagram, tag me, because I would love to see your work. Thank you so, so much for watching. I'm going to wish you a fantastic day, a fabulous evening, happy painting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.